Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in this video I'll be showing you how you can create this lovely UI alongside this interactive component. But before we jump into that, I'm going to show you a few things. So first of all, this design was inspired by this tool UI, and these images we are all getting from the Nike website, and I have here my Me Fidelity design. Once again, this design was inspired by this tool screenshot. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So first I'm going to create a new document, and I'm going to give this whatever name I want to give it. So I'm going to call this Nike app. So I'm going to call this Nike app. So first I'm going to create a frame. I'm going to press A on the keyboard, and I'm going to click on font. So usually it depends on the last frame you use. So I'm going to click on font. I'm going to click on iPhone 13 mini. And this is the frame I'll be using for this UI. And first I'm going to do is to go ahead and add my layout grid. So I'm going to click on the layout grid, and I'm going to change this from grid to column, and I'll set the counts to 4. I'm going to set the margin to 16, and the decoder, that's the distance between these columns will be, let me give this an 8. Okay, so right now we have our frame, and I can go ahead and name this mobile, or I can call this app / Nike / product detail or product page. I just call this product detail. Okay, so whichever naming style you prefer to use, that's fine. I'm going to leave a space here for my status bar, so I'm going to leave a space of, let's say, about 48. Yeah, 48 is great, and this is 375, which is okay. All right, so next thing I want to do is to bring in an arrow icon. That's to show that the user can go back to a previous page. I'm going to press command and question mark, that's slash, and I'm going to type in material, and I have my material symbols plugin installed. So if you don't have the material symbols plugin installed, one way to do that is just click on the resources icon here, and you go to plugin, and then you type material symbol. So usually it's going to pop up here from the community, and just click on run. So I have it installed already on my Figma account. I can go ahead and just click on run. So here I'm going to search for arrow, and I'm going to change this from outline to rounded, and I'll change the weight of the icon to 300%, and I'm going to look for the arrow, the go back arrow. This is it. I'm going to click on it, and once I click on it, automatically to add that to my frame, and I can go ahead to close this window. Now usually most times this arrow is not inside the frame. If I undo this and I want to shift my frame, you can see the arrow, this icon is not inside of the frame. And to fix that, I'm going to click on the icon and press Command X on the keyboard, and then I'm going to click on the frame and press Command V. Or I can just move it out of the frame and then click and move it back again. So right now you can see it's inside the frame because I can see a blue highlight around the frame. I'm going to place it somewhere here, and this is my go back button, and I'm going to go ahead and add a text. So this would be my product title. For my font, I'm going to go ahead and change my font to DM Sans. So this is a free font, so you can get it from Google Fonts. Okay, so I'll go ahead and increase my font size to 16, and this is my product height. I'm going to have it here, properly centered, aligned, and I'm going to choose this to text align center, and I'm going to make it to be aligned. So it's already aligned, and everything it's okay. Yeah, everything is okay now. Now next I'm going to do is to draw a frame for my image. So this is going to be my image box. I'm going to draw a frame of size 375, right? Let's say by 343. That will be my height. I don't know if this is okay. It should be 3, not 2. So 343. Okay, so let's add a color. So I'm going to add a color to this and be a gray color just for now. And the distance between this, let me just frame this to Let me frame this, and I'm going to call this page title. And I can set the distance. I'm going to hold option on the keyboard to know the distance, and I can set this to 24, which is great. Then next thing I'm going to do is to bring in my text and my pricing. So let me just go back to this, and I'm going to go ahead and grab my wireframe, so that way I can have a frame of reference to what I'm designing. Okay, so next I want to do is to add my category text and my product detail and pricing. So next I'm going to go to the Nike website to get the product category and then the product name. So this is the product category. I'm going to go ahead and copy it. I'm going to go back to Figma, and I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to add a text. I'm going to press T on the keyboard to add a text, and I'm going to paste this right here, aligning to the left, and I'm going to change it from small letter, that's from capitalized words, to all caps. That's the case, and we have this here. The distance can be 48 from here. I'm going to duplicate this. This is going to be distance here would be 8, which is good. This is 16, not bad. And I'm going to set this to 14. And I'm going to go back to the website, and I'm going to copy the product title. I'm going to go back to Figma, and I'm going to paste that right here. And next I'm going to do is to update this back to, I'm going to take out the case, that's the uppercase, and set it to no case, so that way it uses the format that I want. So I'm going to set this to 8, and I'll make this an auto layout. Maybe I can bump this up a bit, maybe like 18, and make this medium. Yeah, medium is great. All right, so I'll just keep going, and then afterwards I'm going to update this. So I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to hold Alt and drag. So I'm going to hold Alt and drag it out, or I can just duplicate it. And I'm going to go ahead and add my price. So I'm going to put in the price. The product price should be 63.97 if I'm correct. Let me just confirm. Yeah, so that's correct. I'm going to go back to Figma, and I'm going to have this here. So I'm going to place this at the edge, and I'm going to set this to bold. Okay. All right, so we have our product category, the title, and then the pricing. So usually I actually use 10. That's my black. I'm going to go ahead and update all this. I'm going to set the fill color to 10. That's 101010. And I'm going to go ahead and save it, and I'm going to call this black 900. And I'm going to update this to like 70 gray, and I'm going to call this gray 800 or so. Okay, now next I'm going to duplicate this, Command D, and I'll just click it out of the frame. I'm going to call this size, so that way we can have our size looking at our wireframe here, right? So distance here can be set to, let's say, 32. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a rectangle. So let's see the size of the rectangle here. The size of the rectangle here is 48, and my text here is 16, correct? This is set to 20, and I'm using 18, so just a difference of 2 pixels, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and draw a rectangle of size 48. Usually, if you're unable to get the perfect size by just clicking and dragging, you can just come here and just type 48 once you've drawn the rectangle. But make sure that the proportion is constrained, so that way you get the exact value on both sides. So this is 16, which is not bad, and I'm going to give this a full corner radius. So I'm going to make this like 100, and I'm going to add a stroke to it. I'll take out the fill, and I'm going to bring in a text. I'm going to press T on the keyboard, and I will type in, let's say I'm going to start with size 8. Let's see what size it's on the website. So we have size 5. Okay, so we can start with that. 5, 5.5, and 6. So I'm going to start with 5. I'm going to put it right here inside the frame, instead of my rectangle, right? And I'm going to go ahead and set this to align center, so that way if I'm to duplicate this, whatever figure I put, it's centered, it will be like to be properly centered, right? So that's just why I'm changing this to center align, and I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to make it a frame instead. I'm going to call this size, shoe size. This is 16. Oh, not 16. I'm going to make this 16 so that way it's consistent. I'm going to align this properly. Yeah, and I'm going to duplicate this. The distance between this can be set to 16, and this will be 5.5. I'm going to duplicate this again, 16, and this will be set to 6. Now I can just highlight all of it, press Shift A on the keyboard to make it an auto layout, and I'll just duplicate this, and I'm going to set this to 6.5. I'm going to duplicate this one more time, and I'll set this to 7. Now I can add more spacing since we have a lot of space in here. I can make it to have a little bit more padding, and I'm going to make it 24. Yeah, 24 is great. Next I'm going to do is to make this other outline fainted, so that way it's not looking active, and I'm going to set the color to maybe to our gray color. I'm going to use this one for the text, and then for the rectangles, I'll just go ahead and highlight the rectangles by holding Command on the keyboard or Control if you're using a Windows. And I'm going to set this to, let me break this. I'm going to set this to, let's see, maybe let's value maybe C0, and I'm going to call this, I'm going to add it to my style. I'm going to call this gray, maybe 400. Okay, so I think that is good. I mean, I can add maybe a 0.1, 0.5 radar to this so it's more visible, and I'm going to change this to medium, right? So that way it looks a little bit more in terms of the visual hierarchy to be more distinct. Okay, so next I'm going to do is to duplicate this. Remember the distance we're using here is 32, so I'm going to set this to 32, and I'm going to call this description. So just to take a look at what we have here, so we are on track, description, and I'm going to bring in a text. I'm going to press T on the keyboard, and I'm going to say text goes here. Oh, my caps is turned on, so I'm going to turn it off, and I'll something is missing, or something is not right here. Okay, I think our setting is set to all caps. I'm going to change this. Text goes here, and I'm going to expand this. This will be my text box for the description. I'm going to make sure it's touching the edge of my line. I'm going to check one more time to make sure that the distance between the margin is correct, which is 16, which is great. And the distance here should be set to 16 as well. And I'm going to make this 16 as the font size. And I'll change the color to my black. I'm going to go back to the browser. That's my browser. And I'm going to go to the description part of the product. And I'm going to copy all of this text, right? I'm going to press Command C on the keyboard. And I'll go back to my Figma. And I'm going to paste the text right here. Now, next thing I'm going to do is for me to expand this. Great. I'm going to make this bold. So it looks more like a heading. Great. So now we have our UI coming out well. Next I'm going to do is to add my buttons. So the size of this button, or the height, is set to 50 and the width is 253. And I'll just go ahead and use this instead of recreating it, just to speed up the process a bit. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste this right here. So I'm going to add my call to action text. I'm going to call this add to cart. right? And it would be great to add an icon to it. So I'm going to go ahead and press command slash, that's the question mark, and I'm going to click on material symbol and I'm going to type in cart. I'm going to change the icon style to rounded, and I'm going to change it from 400 to 300, and this is the icon I would like to use. I'm going to click on it, and this is the icon, so that I'm added to my frame. I'll just click and drag it inside here, but this is not working the way I want it to, so I'm going to click on this. Since it's active, I'm going to hold shift and click on this. Let me hide this window. I'm going to press shift A on the keyboard, and I'll change the direction to be horizontal, and I'm going to double click and use my left arrow key on the keyboard to move it to the left. And I can go ahead to change the color. I'm going to press FFF, change it to white, and I'll just go ahead and save the white color so that way I have it here. Great. All right, so we have this button here, and the distance here should be 16, which is great. All right, so I'll just go ahead and highlight the both of them. So this is my primary button, this is my secondary button. That is, users can add them to their favorite list. So I'll just go ahead and highlight the both of them, and I'll press shift A on the keyboard, and I'll call this products page button. Great. So having done this, let's see if the button, one button it's higher than the other. This is 52, this is 50. So let's add 14. Let's make it 14 and make this 14 as well, so that way the button heights are equal. That's 52. We can see that value here, 52. Okay, great. Now next I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hide this button to add my faded rectangle, so it looks as if the text is coming from a faded background. I'm going to press R on the keyboard to draw a rectangle, and I'm going to draw a rectangle here. So just to make sure that I know exactly the way it's going to show on my phone on page load on the viewport, I'm going to go ahead and add another frame just to make it of the same size. So I know this is 812, that's the height of the phone frame. So that means my rectangle should start from somewhere around here, and yeah, somewhere around here. So the size will be, the height of the frame will be 90, or at the bottom, from the bottom of the page, right? So set to 90, and I'm going to click on the fill, change it from solid to linear, and it's the other way around. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. I'm going to set it to white, and I'm going to remove the opacity by clicking on this handle and push to the end. So you can see my opacity, it's set to 100, and I'm going to click here. I'm going to set the color to white, and I'm going to click on this scroll handle and move it to the edge, so that way my opacity is set to 0, and we can see that effect here, right? So we can see I can go ahead and let me close it and click back again, so I can adjust this the way I want, right? I can move this up a bit. Yeah, so we have this looking a little bit more nice in a way. Let me move this up a bit, and I'll just go ahead and close this. So right here we'll have our faded background, and I'll just go ahead and call it faded background. Okay, now next I'm going to do is to bring back my button. Let's look for it. I think it's hidden. Yeah, this is it. I'm just going to go ahead and click on it. So we have our faded button here. Now you can see the faded button it's sitting on top of my page button. That's the faded background, right? It's sitting on top of my page button. I'll just go ahead and push it down by holding command and square bracket open to push it down, so that way it's hidden, right? Or it's behind my call to action button that we have here. Okay, so I think we are making progress. Yeah, let me increase this up a bit to maybe like 105. Yeah, I think 105 is great. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to update my page title. So I'll just come here, double click and click again, double click again. I'm going to press Command C on the keyboard, and I'm going to come here and I'll press Command Shift A and then Command Shift V. Now notice that what I did, I had to use Command Shift V because I don't want it to copy the text property. Now if I just highlight this, Command A and press Command V, it's going to copy the text property, right? And I don't want that, so that's why I use Command Shift V. Sorry, let me undo this. Yeah, Command Shift V to paste it without the text property. Okay, so I think we have our UI ready. The next is just for us to throw colors and then add our image, right? So I'm going to go ahead and set the primary color. I'm going to click this and I'm going to choose whatever color, maybe any color of my choice. Maybe a blue, maybe something like this. And I'm going to set this to be a black color, which is going to be my secondary button. And I think this is good. Also for this, I'm going to change the outline color to my blue. I'm just going to use my eyedropper tool to pick this. Yeah, and I can go ahead and save this color as well. Just click on this and click on, I'm going to call this primary color or brand primary color. Any text is good. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is to add my images, right? So I'm not using this frame again. I'll just go ahead and delete it. Right, so we have our UI right halfway done, and I'm going to draw a frame here. I'm going to draw a frame. Let me use this size. So this is 375,343. So I'm going to maintain that. I'm going to call this 375. I'm going to remove the constraint and I'm going to put the height to 343. Right? Yeah, correct. So I'm going to call this image. Yeah, image box. So this is going to be our image box, and I'm going to have another frame inside of our image box that we have the product images. So I'm going to draw another frame inside of this. I'm using the frame. I don't want to use a rectangle because I want, when I paste the image, I can resize the image inside of the frame. I'm going to press F on the keyboard to draw a frame, and I'll just hold Shift. So let's do that one more time. I'm going to press F on the keyboard, hold Shift, and then click and drag. So something like this, maybe 296 is great. Yeah, 296. I'm going to center align this properly, and I can give this a color so it looks a little bit more distinct from the background, maybe something like this. So this is my image box, and where I'm going to put the product images. And next I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the Nike website. I'm going to close this, and I'm going to go ahead and copy these images. So I'm going to copy the orange color, the pink color, I think the green color, and then the black color, right? So let's start with the black color. I'm going to go ahead and copy this, right click, and then click on copy image. I'm going to go back to Figma, and I'm going to click on my frame. This will be my image, right? I'm going to call this image. I'm going to press Command V to paste that image. Now, let me show you, or let me explain the reason why I'm using the frame. Now, if I use a rectangle, watch this. If I duplicate this, give me a second. I'm going to duplicate this, hold Alt and drag. I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to press arrow to draw a rectangle. I'll say of the size, let's say 296, right? Great. I'm going to center align it. Now, if this is a rectangle and I press Command V to paste my image, I'm going to paste the image right. So this is a rectangle. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to paste the image inside by pressing Command V on the keyboard. And you can see it just pastes the image right inside, which is great, right? But I can't manipulate this image the way I want. Like if I want to add the interactive, those kind of the animation that I want to add to make it slide, like to have this kind of sliding effect, I can achieve that on this. So you can see, like, is this like the image? It's the frame itself. It's taking a different shape inside of my image box, right? But if it's a frame, if I should leave this, if I go to my frame and I press Command V, though it's a bit stressful because I have to resize this one more time, I'm going to hold Shift and Option on the keyboard. If you're using a Windows, you hold Shift and the alternative button, that's the Alt key, and you then click on this on the knob here where you have this arrow showing here, you click and shift option and then click and drag it inside, so that way you have your image size reduced inside of the frame. Now you can let go. You can take your hand off your mouse or off your trackpad before taking your hand off the button, or if not, it's gonna look a little bit weird, right? So just to take note. Okay, so right now we have our image inside of our frame. Now I can turn this to whatever direction I want to turn it in, and I still have my frame intact, but this one, it's my frame is not intact basically because the image is right inside of the rectangle, right? So here I can go ahead and max this color, like to pick this color, and you can see it looks as if it's the same thing, like nothing happened, right? So that is just the hack, and that is why I prefer to use a frame instead of using a rectangle. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and destroy this by deleting it, and I'm going to go ahead and press and set this to 0. Yeah. Okay, so for some other person, what I want to do in the next few minutes, I don't want to use remove BG to take out the background from the image because it's going to be a little bit more pixelated. So right here I can see the detail of this product like this, and I can see the shadow. More shadow is more detailed, but if I use remove BG, I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to click on this as the image, and I'm going to go ahead and use remove BG. That's remove BG is a plugin that allows you to remove the background of an image, right? So I'm going to go ahead and activate the plugin. I'm going to press commands / and I'm going to type in remove. So this is the remove BG plugin, but if you don't have it on your Figma, what you need to do is click on the resources icon, click on plugin, and I'm going to type remove BG. So if you don't have it installed yet, there's a process to doing that. You might need to generate the API key from the website. It's a very simple process. You just need to follow it through, and then you get it installed on your Figma account. So once I click on remove BG and then I click on run, I'm going to click on run one time, and it's going to try to, okay, I did not select the image. I'm going to go ahead and double click the image, and I'm going to click on run. You can see the image is a bit pixelated, and you can see it's not really neat and clean as compared to the original image. So for that reason, I'm not going to use the remove BG tool for this particular tutorial. I'm just going to go ahead and delete this, and I'm going to use the color picker to get the right color for the frame. So you can see if I rotate this image, maybe set it to 50 degrees, usually it should be in the white background. I should have a white feel, but I can click on the frame, click on the fill icon, and I'm going to click on the eyedropper tool, and I'm going to select this color, and you can see it has blended with the background of the image, so that way I don't have to worry about the image color interfering with the frame background. So next I'm going to just go ahead and set this to 0, and I'm going to set this properly here, and also I'm going to go ahead and pick this color. Yeah, so we have our image box here, and this is our first image. I'm going to call this image -1, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to expand this frame. Maybe for your own Figma, you notice that the clip content might be inactive, right? So let's say the clip content is inactive, right? And if I expand this, it's going to look like this, right? Quite all right. And I can go ahead and duplicate this. So I can duplicate this and then move it aside, maybe of distance, maybe 90. Now I'm going to go ahead and copy another image from the Nike store, and I'm going to go ahead and copy this image, like let's say the orange one. Copy image, go back to Figma, and I'm going to double click till my image is selected. Now press Command V. Yeah, so right now I don't need to start resizing that image. Like, remember the first time we had to resize it, but once you've added the image, you can just, or you can always paste to replace it. But if I have my image deleted and I paste the image one more time, it's going to take this this shape, and I have to start reducing it one, like holding my shift and option to reduce the size, which is a long process, right? So once you've done this for the first image, you can duplicate and just double click on the image and just press Command V, and that way it just replace the image for you. So right on this one, I'm going to duplicate this one more time. Let me expand the box maybe to create more spacing. Yeah, this is good. And I'll duplicate this, Command D on the keyboard, and I'll click and drag it. 90 is great. Let's see. Okay, and I'm going to go back to the website, and I'm going to click on the pink shoe, right click to copy it. I'm going to go back to Figma, and I will double click on this frame and press Command V. So I've replaced that image, and I'll do the same thing, Command D, duplicate, drag it out. The spacing here, 90 is great. I'll go back to the website, and I'm going to copy the green shoe. Maybe I can copy this one. I don't know if this is great. Oh, let me go with this one, and go back to Figma, and I'll double click on the image and press Command V. All right, so I have all my images right in the image box. Next I'm going to do is to set this to angle 50. So I'm going to double click on the image, and I'm going to set this to angle 50. Double click on this one, set it to angle 50, and I'll double click on this and set this to angle 50. Now, having done that, next I want to do is to reduce the size of this, so that way it can take this frame size. That is our actual product image frame size. Now, if I reduce this like this, I usually hold Control to do this, but you can see that my the other products are not hidden in a way. They're visible, or they're not being max inside of this frame. Now, to max it inside of this frame, what I need to do, I'm going to undo this, and I'm going to click on the image box, and I'll click on clip content. So once I do that, I can reduce this, and it's going to hide the other element. And our size, our image box size, needs to be 375. So I can just come and just type in the value 375. So that way it's the same size with our product image, right? Now, next I'm going to duplicate this and create component. Now, this is the most important part of this tutorial, because this is where you're able to achieve this sliding animation like this kind of effect. I'm going to go back to our UI, and I'm going to duplicate this. So I'm going to call this is image box. I'm going to call this image box 1, image box 2. Right, I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm calling this image. So automatically it just names, give it the right name, and we have 4 images. Right now, I'm going to add effect to this one. I'm going to go ahead and press Command A, so that way you can see it's highlighting my invincible frames, and I can click and drag it, move it in a little, or I can use my shift button to move it the way I want. Right, remember you have to press, let me undo this. Remember, you have to click on this and press Command A, so that way it's highlighting all of the frame inside of the image box. And I can hold my shift and then arrow key to move it till the second image is reviewed. Right, great. And I can just go ahead and click on the second image, center it properly to be at the center. I'm going to double click on this image, and I'll set the angle to 0. Yeah, set the angle to 0. That's simple, right? So the same thing, I'm going to do the same thing to the second one. I'm going to press Command A, and I'm going to move this till the third image is reviewed. Right, and I'm click on it, center it properly, and I'm going to double click on the image and set the angle to 0. And I'll do the last image here. I'm going to I'm going to click on it, press Command A to highlight all of the frame, and I'll use my shift and then arrow key. I'll just keep pressing it till the fourth image is reviewed. Yeah, keep going. Great, this is our fourth image, and I'll just click on this, align it properly to the center, and I'll double click on the image and set this angle to 0. So that way we have all our product images like revealed, and I'm going to highlight all of this, and I'm going to click on where you have the components. I'm going to click on this arrow and click on create component set. Now once I do that, it's going to change, it's going to add this, or you're going to create this as a component. I can give this a title. I'm going to call this product image box, right? Great. Now next I'm going to do is to add my interactive animation, or just to make it a little bit interactive, by going to the prototype mode, and I'm going to click on this. When I hover on this, I'm going to see this plus sign. I'll click and drag it to the next image, and I'll change this from on click to on drag. I'm going to set the animation to smart animation, and I'm going to change this. This is smart animation. I'm going to change this from ease out to gentle, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click on this and drag it to this guy, and I'll set it to on drag, smart animation, gentle. So it's correct. So it just takes the form, the last interaction that was set, and I'll do the same thing here. Click and drag it to this next one, change it from on click to on drag, and my smart animation is already set. And I'll do this. I'm going to click on this one and then point it back to the first image, that is this guy, and I'm going to change it from on click to on drag, and it's set. Now having done that, I'm going to go ahead and go back to my design mode. I'm going to take this out by deleting it, and I'll just click on this first image box, and I'll hold Alt on the keyboard, or Option if you're using a Windows, you press Alt key, but if you're using a Mac, you just press the Option key, and then I'll just click and drag it inside of this frame. Now remember our settings. I'm going to align it to center properly, and remember our settings, we actually use the spacing here was around, let's see, was around 24 if I'm correct. Yeah, 24. Great. So next I'm going to do is to make this to be sticky on scroll. This should be my status bar, so I'll just go ahead and copy this status bar from this UI. I'm going to copy it, Command C, go here and then click on this frame. I'll paste it here. Okay, now I'm going to highlight all of this, and I'm going to make this a frame selection. Now next I'm going to do is to add a background, because if there's no background, it's going to look a little bit weird on preview mode. So I should click this and click on the play icon. Let's give it a few seconds for it to load. If I make this sticky, so let's go back to our design. I'm going to make this to be sticky on scroll. I'm going to click on prototype to be fixed, right? And if I go back to my prototype, you can see the text is interfering with the other content of the page. To make it to have a background to look a little bit more unique, I'm going to add a fill color to this, and I'm just going to click and drag this down to touch the product image, right? So that way we have this filled up, and if we go back to our preview, you can see like the text is not interfering with the other content. Just to add a little detail to this, I'm going to add an outline to this. So I'm going to add a stroke, and I'll change the stroke from to be all round to just be at the bottom here. And I'm going to change the stroke color to be the gray color, which is this one. This is too much. I'm going to use the gray 400, right? And I'll go back to my design so you can see. Yeah, so this is great. Yeah, to me this is a bit much. Let me see if I can drop this and be like to E0 or EA. Yeah, I think EA is great. Yeah, so I'll just go ahead and add this EA as a color, and I'm going to call this gray 100. Next I'm going to do is to make this button sticky, right? I'm going to go to prototype and I'm going to say fixed. The same thing, I want our faded background, because once a user scroll, you can see the faded background is scrolling alongside the other information. I'm going to change this from scroll with parent to fixed in position, so that way it's fixed and you can see every other text that comes after it looks as if it's coming out from a faded background. Great. So let's test our interaction. So you can see our interaction is all set. Yeah, but there's one thing I noticed with the interaction. This took me a while to figure out. I noticed the color, there's a variation in the color. Let me just go ahead and turn off my layout grid. If I should zoom in a bit, I can't find it, or I wouldn't notice it, but I was able to discover that there was a bit variation with this. Now if I should click on this, the color fill here is F6, but I was able to get the right color, and the right color is supposed to be F8. And I can apply the same thing to every other element here, F8. So it's supposed to be on the selection color, F8. So this one, I'll click on the selection color and type F8. But if you're using the remove BG for your product images, you wouldn't notice this variation or this difference in the color. So if you use remove BG to remove the background of this product image, like you wouldn't have to worry about the color, but actually explain why I have to use the color, that's the frame background color, to max the frame background color alongside the image, because I don't want the image to be pixelated in any way. So the next thing I'm going to do is to create a pagination for our slider. So I'm going to press R on the keyboard and I'm going to draw a rectangle of size 16, and I'm going to set the corner radius to 100, and I'm going to duplicate it by pressing Command D on the keyboard, and I'm going to reduce the size to 8. I'm going to change the color using the black color that I saved, and I'm going to click on the first rectangle, and I'm going to take out the fill color, and I'm going to add a stroke. This is great, and I'm going to go ahead and frame the both of them. Next I'm going to duplicate it by pressing Command D on the keyboard, and I'll click and drag it aside, and I'll check for the distance. The distance 8 will be great, and I'm going to double click on this, click on this eye icon to hide the element, and I'm going to change the border line, that's the stroke, to a gray color. I'm going to click on the active dot and then hold shift and click on the inactive dot, and I'm going to press shift A, and I'm going to call this pagination. So I'm going to double click on this and press Command D and Command D again. So I have 4 dots here. This is the active and this ones are the inactive one. Now next I'm going to do is to double click on this and then pick the colors, so that way it's unique to each image that is active on the slider. And I can set the distance here 24, which is great. I'm going to copy it, click on this one, and it should be centered, aligned properly. I think, yeah, it is. Double click, center it, align horizontal. Okay, great. And I'm going to move this to the other side of this by using my arrow key to move it to the second position. And I'm going to double click on this black, right, and I'm going to use my eyedropper tool to select the orange here. So the same thing, I'm going to come here, Command V to paste it, and I move this to the third position, and I'm going to double click on this color, and I'll use the eyedropper tool to pick the pink color. So I'm going to do the same thing to the last image, and I'm going to move it to the end, double click, move to the end, and I'm going to double click on this circle here, and I will use the eyedropper tool to select the green color. This is the dark green, so I don't want it to be so dark because it looks as if it's a black color. And let me choose from a light part. Let's see somewhere here. Great. So let's see how it look one more time. Yeah, this is good. Yeah, so this is how you create a very simple interactive slider component using Figma. Now I'm going to add the Figma file in the description, in the video description, so you can go ahead and duplicate it and create something fantastic. And do well to post it on social media. You can tag me on LinkedIn, you can tag me on Twitter at Alex Chibonyi. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.